All right, I want you to be honest with yourself. When was the last time you felt truly pursued by your spouse? Not loved, not supported, not appreciated, but pursued. So if it's been a while, I want you to hear this clearly. It doesn't mean that your marriage is broken, but it may mean something has slowly drifted. And if drift goes unchecked, two people who genuinely love each other can quietly become emotional roommates. I've seen it a lot in working with couples. So in this video, we're going to answer 3 important questions. First, how do you know if romance is actually dying or if life just got busy? And then second, why does romance feel so much harder now than it did when you were dating? And then third, how do you rekindle connection without it feeling weird or awkward or fake? All right, let me start with something personal. So growing up, I loved sports. Football and baseball were kind of my thing. And around 12 years old, I started running, like jogging. And I ran consistently for nearly 30 years. Eventually, I added in resistance training in my 30s. And these days, I do 2 or 3 days of weights and a couple of days of cardio. Nothing extreme, but man, I love it. It's consistent daily, and it really helps. I've noticed something. When I let a week go by without working out, I feel it. I mean, at first, my energy levels drop, and then I feel weaker, a little bit weaker. But the most dangerous thing that happens isn't even physical. I start to lose the desire to work out. Like, not overnight, but if I let a couple of weeks go by, which is rare, but if it happens, restarting feels hard. And the longer I neglect it, the harder it is to rebuild the rhythm back in my life. And I've realized something else. My spiritual life works the same way. If I stop praying consistently, if I stop opening scripture, if I stop intentionally connecting with Christ, it's not that I suddenly stop loving God. It's that my sensitivity dulls and my attentiveness fades. So drift, it rarely begins with rebellion. It begins with neglect, and it just compounds over time. So marriage works the same way. Romance doesn't die because love disappears. It dies because pursuit stops. So most couples don't fall out of love. They fall out of intentionality. So how do you know if romance is dead or if it's just undertrained? Well, here's the difference. If romance were dead, there'd be indifference. There'd be unwillingness. There'd be no desire for change. But if you're watching this video thinking, we need to fix this, then that means romance isn't dead. That's a sure sign. It's neglected. And what fades from neglect can return with intentional pursuit. That's the good part. Now, let's talk about why it feels hard. Kind of like working out, it's hard to get back into the rhythm. Why does it feel hard to get romance going again? So when you were dating, romance, it was just automatic. It was fueled by chemicals. You planned, you initiated, you complimented, you thought ahead. There was novelty, there was excitement. And what's there now? Familiarity. And familiarity, it brings comfort. And comfort's good, but comfort doesn't create romance by itself. I mean, they're not making Hallmark movies about comfort. Romance thrives on intentional pursuit. Add stress to that. Work stress, parenting stress, financial pressure, your emotional bandwidth, it shrinks. And so when you're exhausted, playfulness feels like effort. Affection, it feels like work. And if you're spiritually disconnected, then that compounds everything. Because when couples drift from Christ, humility decreases, gratitude decreases, servant-hearted love, it decreases. And those qualities, those are the things that fuel intimacy. All right, so what do? Let's tackle that. You restart the discipline before the desire. All right, so my son Colby, he's sick right now. And the last thing he wants to do is to get out of the bed and go take his medicine. but that's the thing that he needs to do because that's the thing that's going to get him well. And it's kind of the same thing. It's the discipline of refueling the romance and all of that before the desire's there. You don't wait to feel romantic. You practice romance. You schedule the date, send out the text, initiate the hug. You ask the deeper question. You pray together, even if it's short, because desire follows obedience. Romance is not a personality trait. It's a practice posture. And this applies to both husbands and wives. So husbands, your pursuit matters. Leadership in love, it matters. Wives, your responsiveness to your husband and his intentionality, that matters too. Romance is a shared rhythm. It grows when both spouses choose engagement over just living on autopilot. All right, so start small. I think that's a good place to start. It's as easy as protecting a weekly connected time, right? Maybe it's first thing in the morning. For Bonnie and me, it's when we go to bed. We go to bed at the same time. We have some pillow talk. We talk there. We defrag the day. Build a daily check-in ritual. Maybe plan a monthly date that requires thought. Be curious again, right? Compliment each other out loud. Initiate physical affection without an agenda. And here's something important. If you want romance to truly thrive, your spouse must feel cherished. Not just dated, not just desired. They have to feel cherished. Because you can restart romance externally, but if your spouse doesn't feel valued and emotionally safe, connection won't stick. And so that's why in this next video, I'm going to show you exactly how to make your spouse feel truly cherished emotionally, spiritually, and physically. And we'll break down what that actually means, what it looks like practically, and how to make it consistent in your marriage. So if today helped you realize we don't need to panic, we just need to restart pursuit, then this next step is learning how to make that pursuit land in your spouse's heart. So I want you to click here and watch how to make your spouse feel truly cherished. Because when your spouse feels cherished, romance doesn't fade, it grows. All right, I'll see you there.